Hi, now let's talk about our Shoji systems. Shoji is our partition systems and door systems that we have introduced under the branding Numa. And Shoji takes inspiration from Japanese architecture. Now, this is going back to at least hundreds of years. So, if you go back, say, 1123 AD, which is almost 900 years ago, shoji systems started to get used in Japanese homes. They were essentially doors made out of wood with these grid designs that you see and rice paper in between. So, what happened was it worked great for privacy while letting a lot of light through, and it gained a lot of usage and prominence in Japanese architecture. So, as an example, today, if let's say I were to go online and search shoji, and if you go to images, there are all these beautiful patterns you will see in shoji today. And what happened is the Italians took this Japanese architecture, added their own systems to it out of aluminum instead of wood. And today we have shoji, which is now widely used in residences, offices around the world. So there is a lot of heritage regarding this product. What we now know, it's timeless because it has been there through hundreds of years and it still looks very good. There are very few designs that look timeless, but we are glad that shoji is one of them. So, looking at all the different range that we have in our shoji systems, let's start with zero. When we say zero, it essentially means zero grids. So, what we have here is just the border framing in aluminum and a handle, and there are no grids. So, you get the maximum visibility. And what you can do here is play around with the glass. So if you use a more expensive form of glass, such as mesh glass, let's again go back and Google what a metal mesh glass looks like. These are all different examples of metal meshes, and we can use each one of them in partitions. So let's type in partitions here. As you can see, these are all different type of metal mesh glass used in partitions. And depending on the application and the color of the mesh, these tend to look really, really pretty. And it's widely used today. So what a zero frame allows you to do is really take the focus on the glass. We can use a digitally printed glass here, um, or we can use a tinted glass. So this is great where the client requires maximum transparency. They don't want to cut the view. They want their rooms to look bigger. So this is a great suggestion. When a client has requirements like these. The next is grids. The name itself is self-explanatory. Now, in this case, what we have is a really modular design. You can really play around with how many vertical and horizontal mullions or partitions you want. The glass remains in a single piece, and the mullions or the lines or the partitions, whatever you want to call them, they exist on both the sides of the glass. So again, the glass is in a single piece, and these mullions, which are again made out of aluminum, are stuck on the glass and also connected to the profiles at the edges. So these are all these different variations that you can do. with grids, and you what happens is you get totally different looks. You can have a French grid style, you can have a very refined Italian style, you can have an art deco style. There are a lot of stunning possibilities that you can play around with, and the architect can customize the way they want. So these are a good example of grids. You can have a different color of the grid compared to the frame. You can play around. This is the stem design. This is basically inspired by wooden partitions, uh, and clearly there are a lot of vertical grids on this, as you can see. A lot of vertical, and this is great as a partition for wardrobes, for living room. A lot of richness from the material itself. And now the same design we are adopting for linear, which is a horizontal grids. So we have vertical grids as stem, and then just horizontal lines as linear. And each one of the applications is really pretty. We created this image with the lighting on top. We can also provide the client along this solution with lighting if they want. But this combination itself is really great. It looks very modern, both STEM and linear. They look very, very modern. And our highest grid design is the quadra. Now, quadra is essentially checkered partitions, and it's basically stem V combined with a horizontal print on the glass. So essentially, one of the lines is digitally printed on the glass, where one of the line and the opposing line. So if the horizontal line is digitally printed, the vertical line is an aluminum profile. And together, it gives you this combination which looks rich and extraordinary. Now,